What it do, family? It's your boy Max the Don, aka Akhenaten, aka Tutankhamun, aka Tahuti Son, which means I shine through the wisdom. And today we're going to be speaking about the Latino LA City Council members. And I know several people already probably touched on this shit. And the reason why I ain't touched on this yet, because of the fact that I was sitting there waiting. I was anticipating. I wanted to see some of those Latino people come out and say some things about what was going on there. Like, where's Cardi B? Oh, she had words to say about the political spectrum when it came to the black community. She had things to say about the political situation when it came to the black community, when we was requesting tangibles. Where's she at? I was looking for people like Fat Joe. Like, you know, this man was sitting there on the Breakfast Club talking all that little bull s. Where's Fat Joe at? Where's Fat Joe to sit there and, you know, get on the heads of these people in Los Angeles who represents literally the death of the black community? Oh yeah, I was just sitting there waiting to see who's going to come out and how long it would take before someone would come out. But let's start here first. Before we get to the people who came out, let's start here first.
There's new fallout after racist remarks at a Los Angeles City Council meeting were leaked. The council's president has now resigned, saying in a statement, "I take responsibility for what I said, and there are no excuses for those comments." Here's NBC's correspondent, Gadi Schwartz.
LA City Council President Nury Martinez resigning after a leaked audio recording, first reported by the LA Times and obtained by our affiliate KNBC, captured Martinez and council member Kevin De Leon making racist and disparaging remarks in 2021. The attacks targeted fellow council member Mike Bonin and his young son, who is black. The comments, which were spoken behind closed doors in 2021, referred to an MLK parade in which Bonin participated in with his son.
It's like the oddest thing. It's like black and brown on this float. And then there's this white guy with this little black kid who's misbehaved. The kid is bouncing off the effing walls on the float, practically tipping it over.
Martinez is also heard describing the child as a little monkey in Spanish.
They're raising him like a little white kid, which I was like, this kid needs a beat down. Like, let me take him around the corner and then I'll bring him back.
The source of the recording is unknown, and NBC News hasn't determined whether it's been edited, but the LA Times reported that during the conversation, De Leon also appeared to compare Bonin's handling of his son to Martinez carrying a Louis Vuitton handbag. Councilmember Bonin releasing a statement saying, in part, "We are appalled, angry, and absolutely disgusted that Nury Martinez attacked our son with horrific racist slurs and talked about her desire to physically harm him." The conversation reportedly taking place during a meeting that also included Councilmember Gil Cedillo and Ron Herrera, president of the LA County Federation of Labor. The group was discussing the redrawing of council district boundaries. Cedillo and Herrera are not heard on tape making any racist remarks. In a statement, Cedillo apologized and said he should have intervened when racist remarks were uttered, while Herrera said in a statement that there was no excuse for the remarks and his inaction. Martinez and De Leon both issuing apologies over the weekend, with Martinez stating, "In a moment of intense frustration and anger, I let the situation get the best of me, and I hold myself accountable for these comments. For that, I am sorry." De Leon, for his part, said, "There were comments made in the context of this meeting that are wholly inappropriate, and I regret appearing to condone and even contribute to certain insensitive comments made about a colleague and his family in private. I've reached out to that colleague personally."
All the bull fucking shit and all the BS and all the BS. See, it's real funny when it happens to anybody in the black community. Anything happens to anybody in the black community, The media don't give them an opportunity to actually, what is it like, go against or combat what is being put out there. They tend to go to everyone around that person and allow those people to hype up whatever rumor they're trying to spread. And another thing that they do is they don't give that same energy that they just gave this story to anyone else when it comes to the black community. And I don't care whether it's politics. I don't care whether it's just a black on black crime, because they like to say that lie a lot. I don't care whether it's the situation with policing in black communities. So what was it that these two city councilmen were saying? Because when you look online, when you hear it on the news, for the most part, it's just snippets here, snippets there. Well, we're going to listen to it in full. And this is why not only should those two council members be held accountable, but all four of them who partook in this meeting should be held accountable, whether two spoke or not. Everyone should be held accountable. Period, point and blank. So let's go there.
Kurt is taking the temperature of the council, probably at Mark's request. I think Mark knows sort of the direction that the council's gonna head in, and he's trying to take the temperature. I think they're getting the two things mixed up. I think they're getting the whole resignation piece with the suspension piece. Those wires are being crossed, and I don't know if it's Curran's the right person to explain things to.
Hi.
Yeah, we're half asleep. So I was doing my best, doing my best last night to explain that the process we took with Jose was one of suspension. It doesn't mess with his paycheck, and he can still collect a paycheck. It's not on us.
That's wrong, Galvin.
That's what I told him. You need to go talk to that white guy. It's not us. It's the white members on this council that will motherfucker you in a heartbeat. So he started naming names. They go, you got it. You know who it is.
It's not us. It's the white members on this council that'll mother bump you in a heartbeat. But she's speaking to other Hispanic, Latino members on the board, on the membership of the city council. But the person that she was trying to explain that information to, that it's the white guys on the city council, was another Hispanic Latino person. In case y'all wasn't clear on the Jose that she was trying to tell. Let's go.
Mike Fear's gonna with this, Galper's gonna with this, Bob Blumenthal's gonna with this, probably Paul. That's what they do. So getting that will motherfucker you in a heartbeat. So he started naming names. They go, you got it. You know who it is. Mike Fear's gonna with this, Galper's gonna with this, Bob Blumenthal's gonna with this, probably Paul. That's what they do. So getting back to Marquise, I told Danny, if you want to cut a deal, and if you want to make like the boss moves, I would go after the airport. He goes, I love that idea. I said, tell Marquise,
So
go take it from his friend.
Don't go
after. Leave him alone. Yeah. Go get the airport from his little brother, that little bitch Bonnet.
Black people.
I go, what is with the Bonnet? What is with Bonnet? I said, Bonnet thinks he's black. That guy don't think he's black. I go, he thinks he's black.
Did you catch it? Did you catch it? Let's run that back a little bit. Let's go.
From his little brother, that little bitch bonnet.
That little bitch bonnet. Let's see. What was the reason why she's so mad? Let's see.
For black people.
I go,
If you hear the Buster bitch in the background talking about because he loves to be around black people. And then she goes on to tell you further that it's about that. Let's go.
that little bitch bonnet.
For black people.
I go, what is with the bonnet? What is with bonnet? I said, bonnet thinks he's fucking black. That guy don't think he's black. I go, he thinks he's black. I go, the same thing.
This kid is.
He goes,
She goes, Bonnet thinks he's black. He says, Bonnet don't think he's black. She says, Bonnet think he's black. And the little bitch boy in the background says what? His kid is. This is a disrespectful shit that goes on behind closed doors. This is the type of shit that your president, Barack Biden, old Biden, because whether people like it or not, Barack Obama is always tied to that bitch boy Biden. So your president Obama is old Biden. Old Biden is the person who's doing everything right now that's showing you who the fuck they are. I hope you're happy. I hope you're listening. I hope you're paying attention to what's going on. I do. I really hope you're paying attention to what's going on. Because if you're not paying attention, things like this will continue to happen. Let's continue.
that guy don't think he's black. I go, he thinks he's black. I go, the same thing.
This kid is.
He goes, why are they so close? No idea.
And he's from Massachusetts. This kid, the one here. This kid is the dumb.
He's black.
Yeah. All these Latino
Lo
kids.
trae así during Black History Month, lo lleva al council y lo pone acá en el, remember, lo trae, it's an accessory. When we do the MLK parade,
Just like when
They used to have those statues
What?
in
Lo traes, right?
plantations.
Wait,
didn't
just
they?
like when Nori
In the
brings
front.
her Goya.
Now you hear how motherfuckers said that they didn't partake in this shit. But you hear 3 voices on that motherfucker and there's 4 people in the room. So who's the third voice? They lied and said that, oh, I should have said something when they were sitting there disrespecting black people in the room. It's unacceptable and it's unexplainable and all this other shit. But when you sit here and listen to the first article that I played, it tells you that it was only 2 people. Kevin De Leon and the other broad, the Garcia chick, the Martinez chick, excuse me. So who is this third person? Who is this third person partaking in this act of anti-black racism? Let's continue.
Art bag or the Louis Vuitton bag. They place. Just like when
They used to have those statues
What?
in
Lo traes, right?
plantations.
That's who the person is. Ron Herrera. Ron Herrera. Ron Herrera sitting there partaking in this shit. This anti-black hatred. But sitting there, want to sit there and hover over an apology. And these same men on the council, Martinez, She resigned. But the Kevin De Leon, the Gil Cedillo, I'm sorry, not Gil Cedillo, excuse me, Ron Herrera, they're refusing to resign. And that fourth member, the fourth person that was there are 4 people in that room. There's 4 people in that room. Let's go.
Wait, is that when Nori brings her little yard bag or the Louis Vuitton bag? Él trae su
negrito, like on the side, and lo trae, ¿verdad? You sit next to it, you don't got it aside. For MLK, for the parade that Herb used to organize, and we all the council who wanted to join Herb on the float, because he used to do a whole float, to be nice. Bonnie would be like, hey, Nuri, are you going to the MLK? Well, Herb invited me, yeah, I'll go. Okay, I'm bringing whatever the kid's name is. I'm like, it's like the oddest thing. It's like black and brown on this float, and then there's this white guy with this little black kid who's misbehaved. Este niño has they're not doing they're not doing. The kid is bouncing off the effing walls on the float, practically tipping it over. There's nothing you can do to control him. Parece changuito. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm over here trying to parent this kid. I'm like, you can't do that. I said no. And Mike is like, I'm like, you're not teaching your kid anything. It's me and Karen Bass on the float trying to.
Did you catch that part? It's me and Karen Bass on the float. It's not just her. It's her and Karen Bass on that same float. So I'm wondering what the fuck Karen Bass be thinking when she sees your little black children bouncing around all over the place. 2-year-old black children, toddlers bouncing around. Because this woman is about to tell you what she thinks about 2-year-old black children bouncing around and what should happen.
And you can't do that. I said no. And Mike is like, I'm like, you're not teaching your kid anything. It's me and Karen Bass on the floor trying to check this little kid. Me, Karen Bass, y la esposa de Marquise, Carrie. And we're all looking at each other because we're the 3 women on the floor. Like, who's gonna? This kid's gonna tip us over because he's literally hanging on the rails.
Well, you can't let him off because
Notice 2 Hispanic women and Karen Bass looking at each other, figuring out who's going to deal with the little black child who's 2 years old running around on the float. Instead of holding the kid, helping the kid wave and all this other stuff. Oh, no. They're looking around at each other like, who's going to discipline this little nigga?
We're the 3 women on the floor, like, who's gonna? This kid's gonna tip us over because he's literally hanging on the rails.
well, you can't let him off because the spectators will beat his ass.
Yeah.
They're raising him like a little white kid, which I was like, this kid needs a beat down.
You can't let him off because the spectators would beat his ass. A 2-year-old. A 2-year-old. She goes on to say, this kid needs a ass beat down. Excuse me. This kid needs a beat down. Like, let me give him a beat down. Let me take him around the corner and give him that beat down. Let me give him what he needs. And the next motherfucker is going to say some dumb shit like along the lines of, yeah, at least a pinch. That's Ron Herrera. That's your little punk ass Ron Herrera. That's Kevin De Leon. Lori Martinez, she's already resigned. But all this stuff is going to tie into the major point. Bet it is.
Let me take him around the corner and then I'll bring him back.
Yeah.
¿Sí me entiendes? Ven para
It's a
acá.
pinch. Something.
Yeah. This kid needs a beat down. Like, let me take him around the corner and then I'll bring him back.
Yeah.
¿Sí me entiendes? Ven para
It's a
acá.
pinch. Something.
Yeah.
But yes, he's the fourth black.
A beat down. Like, let me take him.
If he's
They're raising him
Chinese.
like a little white kid, which I was like, this kid needs a beat down. Like,
They're raising him like a little white kid. We're not even going to step into the fact that, you know, his father is white. We're not going to step into that. But you can see the mindset. You can see the mindset. Oh, what he's doing is not acceptable because of the fact that he's not white, but they're raising him like a little white kid. But he's not white, so we ain't got to put up with this shit. This ain't what we're going to put up with. Oh, yeah, she's all pissed off about this guy. She's all pissed off about his black son. And she's all pissed off about the fact that he's not doing a damn thing. And so is Karen Bass. Let's continue.
hanging on the rails.
We can't let him off because the spectators will beat his ass.
Yeah.
If he's
They're raising him
Chinese.
like a little white kid, which I was like, this kid needs a beat down. Like, let me take him around the corner and then I'll bring him back.
Yeah.
¿Sí me entiendes? Ven para
It's a
acá.
pinch. Something.
Yeah.
But yes, he's the fourth black.
Notice how harsh he laughed when he said, at least a pinch or something. This wasn't something that was fucking, oh my God. It pisses me off because Biden told all those civil rights leaders what? You better learn to work with Latinos. You better learn to work with the Hispanics. Do you see this shit?
¿Sí me entiendes? Ven para
It's a
acá.
pinch. Something.
Yeah.
But yes, he's the fourth black.
So anyways, getting back to redistricting.
Folks, like, was that going? He did call me. He wants to have breakfast with me.
What's taking him so long?
I haven't. I just said, hey, we need to talk.
You supported him from the...
All right, don't worry, I got you.
Yeah.
So you'll start seeing him line up.
He's with the black.
Isaac was.
Fuck that guy. He's with the blacks. Y'all heard that clear as day. They're talking about the redistricting, gerrymandering. Once again, they start talking about Mike Bennett, and they say, what? Fuck that guy. He's with the blacks.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So you'll start seeing him line up.
He's with the black.
Isaac was the first one.
Let me ask this, Gil. So, if you go in more into K-Town, right? Are those more Latino voters?
Yep.
They're
K-Town's a misnomer.
Okay.
It's called K-Town, but because it's got a lot of Koreans, but it's all Latinos.
Pay
Those are the
attention.
ones you want to pick, you like to pick up.
Yeah.
And who
But
do
not
they-
all of K-Town.
Who do they belong to
No.
right now? Do they belong to?
Right now, they're in 10, all of it. And Nikia wants to play for K-Town. I said, that's not gonna happen.
It's the northern
Because I
part
didn't
of
want to
Burb.
beef with Mark. So don't beef with Mark, let him take, and that serves
But now
us.
this is the beef with Mike.
Pero mira,
Hope you're paying attention to how back sings politics work. For all the black folk that talk about I'm not into politics, this is what politics is. This is why black folk ain't got no representatives, because black folks ain't back there carving up their slice of the pie. No black representative is out there carving up the slices of the pies that belongs to us. We're supposed to have 50% of every pie baked, and let the rest of them carve out the rest. We're supposed to have 50% of every pie sliced baked, because we built this country. No one else here has any type of claim to this country, this land. We built this country, and I'm even speaking about the Mongoloids. I'm speaking about anybody who came here. No one has a claim larger than the people who built this country. Debate me if you want to.
it serves us to not give her all of K-Town.
Yeah.
Because if you do, that solidifies her renters district, and that is not a good thing for any of us. You have to keep her on the fence.
Yeah.
You see how they're sitting there talking about keeping people on the fence? Talking about how they got to carve up certain areas and how it doesn't benefit them to allow her to have certain areas. They're all working together to keep their areas and build their areas while snatching away all the areas away from the black community. Pay attention.
You have to make her work for
Visualize
it.
this, Kevin. Alvarado, right?
Yeah. All right.
Lafayette Park. Right?
Lafayette Park.
Right here.
Right.
You just go a little further here.
K-Town, ¿qué más?
To
Go
Vermont.
to 6 to Vermont.
But that's where my UFC is at. That's where the pipe trades are at.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that's
So
a
we
little
pick that up.
Chateau Place or
Yeah,
Chateau.
yeah, yeah.
Going to
Lafayette
down
Park.
IHOP.
Lafayette Park.
Going
It's
down
in
to
Korea.
what's
What's
her-
yours? Yeah, that's called K-Town.
Yes.
I see a lot of little short, dark people.
Yeah, puro
It's-
Oaxacan. Puro
I see a lot of short, dark people. And see, the thing that really pisses me off is that there's a lot of people that would try to say that this is an isolated issue. It's just a couple or a few people within a room being racist. That doesn't reflect on the whole community, this, that, and the third. Well, the truth of the matter is, when you look at the history of their community, the history of colorism in Central America, South America, Mexico, or anywhere else around the world, what people saying does not match what is being shown. And what she just said is the basic standard for the people that come from Central America, from the people that comes from South America. Later on, I'm going to tell you a story about that. But we're going to get through this. Let's go.
Yes.
I see a lot of little short, dark people.
Yeah, puro
It's-
Oaxacan.
yeah.
Puro Oaxacan Koreans. Not even like Kevin, little ones.
Whoa. So
I see
we
a lot
got
of little short, dark
who?
people.
Yeah, puro.
We got Gil Cedillo. We got the deal. We got the gill of the deal of the bill of the president. He's a labor president. Excuse me, sorry. Ron Herrera is the labor president. But now we have all 4 members on there saying and talking shit about black people, dark people, being colorist. Being colorist. We got all 4. Nori Martinez, Kevin De Leon, Gil Sedelio, and then the Los Angeles County Federal Labor President, Ron Herrera. All 4 of them. However, people want to act like it's just an isolated incident. Let's continue.
Little Oaxacan Korean. Not even like Kevin, little one.
I was like, no, I don't know where these people are from. I was like, I don't know what village they came, how they got here, but
And then they're wearing shoes.
whatever.
So one, I get what we have to do, right? Just massage to create districts that benefit you all,
Yep.
right, and the future.
Yep.
But we got to figure out Mark's seat too.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And
that
I'm gonna take
benefits you
different.
3.
If the African Americans look at this, now that he might or may not be suspended, I don't know what's gonna happen. I think he should be, but anyhow, if he goes away,
You mean resign, not suspended?
No, here's.
you're right, actually, yeah, there is a difference.
If I may,
If he resigns, hold on, if he resigns and the African Americans look at this as a hostile takeover because he's gone, we'll have to figure that out, because politically they're gonna come after him.
Do you not get the understanding that these people have and the shit that they're doing against us? If our community found out and thought of it as a hostile takeover, they're going to come after us. They knew what the fuck they were doing. It's a wonder why the mainstream media ain't playing that part. They're not playing that literally in TVs or anything like that. And they're making it an isolated issue everywhere you look, as if it only happens in LA. When the truth of the matter is, it's happening all over the United States. And we're going to get into that too. Let's continue.
I think no matter what happens, Bill, we're gonna have to fix it in our house.
Yes.
So let's come up with options. The whole thing is push both of them, and then we'll have to figure it out in-house. That's it.
That's it, I think.
So amend it, make changes now. This commission is f***ing gone rogue, and they're f***ing useless at this point. To me, just move them both, and then we'll figure it out from there. But if you push a whack map, you're gonna end up with a disaster on the council.
So what they're talking about is literally chopping up that map and making it their own. And getting support for their maps over the maps that should be the proper map. If you're pushing both maps, she's being very clear with this man. The Gil Cardillo guy and the Ron Herrera guy and the Kevin De Leon. She's being very clear with these 3 fellas. We're almost through this. Let's go.
So push both.
Well, the other thing
That's all I'm asking.
is that process
We'll figure
is,
it out.
I'm neither here nor you know me on process, right?
Yeah, that whole process. that they're arguing.
I'm not so much on the process as the result.
Outcome, yeah.
The outcome.
Yeah. Who cares about the
So
process?
there's certain people
Yeah.
who don't merit like us rescuing them. Your comadre, right?
I'm not arguing with you about that.
I know who you know.
¿Quién es tu who's your comadre?
You know, India.
Oh, Nidia.
She doesn't merit,
Yeah.
right?
But it's
She's not our
everybody.
ally. She's not gonna help us. Her district is not a district we can count
So
on.
you're saying that's the one to put in the blender and chop out left or right?
But that's what they did.
Yeah.
Did you catch that? Did you catch that? Do I have to repeat it?
Nidia.
She doesn't merit,
Yeah.
right?
But it's
She's not our
everybody.
ally. She's not gonna help us. Her district is not a district we can count
So
on.
you're saying that's the one to put in the blender and chop out left or right?
But that's what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put that district in the blender, chop it up, split up them districts, and put them districts within the whole new districts that we create to be our districts. We gerrymandered them bitches. Yeah. This is what's going on right now. This is what's going on behind the scenes in case you're not understanding what politics mean for black people. In case you're still on that black and brown coalition bullshit, this is what politics means for black people. Because they're clearly understanding what they're doing to black people, but black people don't understand what they are doing to black people. And the ones who clearly do understand, who's speaking out on it, you got other people who understand what's going on, but they're on the other side of the fence because they want to be under white supremacy's thumb. They love white supremacy's thumb. No matter who's pushing white supremacy, whether it's a white man, an Asian man, an Indian man, a Mexican man, Hispanic man, Japanese man. It doesn't matter as long as you are supporting white supremacy. Let's go.
Why
But
not?
it also impacts everybody else. It impacts the valley, which me, and I'm not cool with that.
Yeah.
You see, they will only do things when it does not impact their communities. So when they talk about they stand with us and all this other stuff, and then all of a sudden they disappear, and we all looking around like, where the hell is all our allies? We've been sitting there and look. They said they were with us and all this other stuff. We're looking around and no one's to be found. She just told you exactly why ain't nowhere to be found. Ain't no one there to be found. She ain't there to be found. No ally outside of the black community is there to be found.
Was her district is not a district we can count
So
on.
you're saying that's the one to put in the blender and chop out left or right?
But that's what they did.
Yeah. Why
But
not?
it also impacts everybody else. It impacts the valley, which me, and I'm not cool with that.
Yeah.
It impacts, and whether you like Mitch or not, it impacts him, it impacts you, it impacts Curran. The whole point here is,
Another
how do we
Latinx thing.
stabilize the valley?
The kid that's running from AOC.
The whole point is how do we stabilize the valley without fucking ourselves up? See, that part was cut the hell out, I'm pretty sure. Because the whole point is how do we stabilize the valley? The next, like, the conscious logic would tell you the very next thing out of her mouth would be without. Without. How do we stabilize the valley without messing up our positions? Without messing up our positions. Let's go.
Impacts everybody else. It impacts the valley, which me, and I'm not cool with that.
Yeah.
It impacts, and whether you like Mitch or not, it impacts him, It impacts you, it impacts current. The whole point here is,
Another
how do we
AOC thing.
stabilize the valley?
The kid that's running from HRE, he ain't on your side either.
No.
Oh, no, I know.
Hugo Soto.
Where's he run?
And Mitch. So her point on Mitch is, I just interrupted her, but I apologize for that. But I want to make sure that we protect Mitch,
Allies.
because this guy is your opponent.
Do you hear that? They're even willing to protect their opponents as long as their opponents is on the same level or have the same understanding of politics that they do. That they do. And people wonder why we so upset about this shit.
I got one. The one I know and the one I don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
I got one devil and another devil.
Yeah. So you heard it here. You heard it here. You heard the full tape here yourself with your own ears. So when they come to you with that bull stuff, you know what to tell them. And what did AOC say about it? One of the only people that came out in the political spectrum to actually say something about that whole ordeal. What did this broad have to say? Even though the recount tried to push it like what? Representative AOC, Democrat of New York, sound off on Los Angeles City Council members' racist comments about colleagues' black son. Is that what she did? Let's find out.
I mean, listen, the comments that were made were simply and are simply incompatible with holding elected office. It violates the public trust. Just point blank, period. That's the beginning of it. That's the end of it.
All right. So I guess she did kind of come off on a little bit, let them know, hey, period, point and blank, it's not acceptable. This is a problem. This is a problem. This is a problem. It's a problem. Or did she? Because it seems like there's a button there, right there. There's a button there. Right there. What's the but?
But I do want to dig a little bit deeper into the psychology of that.
No, this heifer didn't. No, this heifer didn't. I don't want to dig into the psychology of that. The psychology of it? All right. Hold on. Let's let her talk.
Because it's also just as bad, if not worse. In corrupt, racist, classist environments, systems, political situations, people in power rely on pitting communities against each other. Whether it's racially, geographically, whatever. They rely on pitting, trying to get Black communities and Latino communities and Asian communities and Native communities seen as each other's enemies, white communities, rural, urban, all of it.
Really? 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 I mean, you guys heard it yourself. I'm not even going to play it again because listening to this broad sit here and try to downplay the situation that just happened and try to make it about all communities of color. It's disrespectful. This is why I say black people are not people of color. We are the thing that all people of color illuminate from. We are the essence that all people of color illuminate from. We are black. Just like the black carries all lights in the spectrum and absorbs all light in the spectrum, we are black. And we are able to do things and create people that other people aren't able to do. But you hear AOC try to make it seem like it's about all people. They're trying to put us against us as this against that against this, and yada yada the Buddha the ba. Without sitting there and actually being honest and talking about the history of anti-black racism that the Latino community partakes in. The Latino community in Latino countries and Hispanic countries, they don't speak about how that carries over from where they started and comes over here when they do everything in their power to become a part of the white supremacist system. It continues. It continues. So no one wants to speak about any of those issues. So let's go here with it.
This pressure continues to mount for two remaining members of LA City Council heard in a racist leaked audio recording to resign. Former Council President Nuri Martinez resigned from her seat on Wednesday.
In the meantime, tomorrow's City Council meeting has been canceled after days of disruptive protests. KTLA's Carlos Salcedo is live in downtown LA with the very latest. Carlos.
That's right. Acting Council President Mitch O'Farrell canceled tomorrow's meeting, saying simply that the city of Los Angeles cannot move on. It cannot move forward until both these men step aside. As you mentioned, pressure keeps mounting for Cedillo and De Leon to resign, but it's still a waiting game. City Hall is at a standstill. That is until disgraced council members Kevin De Leon and Gil Cedillo resign.
If I felt that there were going to be 2 additional resignations today, I would not have canceled tomorrow's meeting.
Acting Council President Mitch O'Farrell canceled Friday's meeting, hoping to put more pressure on the two.
Mr. Cedillo and I had a long, very frank conversation yesterday, and he made it really clear that he is taking into consideration the gravity of the moment and what he ultimately is going to need to do. And I can't state what that is right now, but we will continue those conversations. Many of us are doing our best to get a hold of Mr. De Leon.
Nuri Martinez resigned.
All 4 members of this council are Democrats. Just to let y'all know. Not saying that the Republicans are any better. But I just wanted to make sure that you understood that all 4 of these members here are Democrats in front of your face. So when black people think that you got a friend in me when it comes to the Democratic Party, the answer to that is no. And the reason why I'm making sure this is apparent and that people can understand this is because when we get into the later situation where I'm showing you some issues about the new bill or the new pardons that Biden was speaking about, you'll understand why I'm so angry about them. But when black people think, you got a friend in me, absolutely don't. No one is our friends. Everyone has eaten off the plate of white supremacy and anti-black hatred.
Resigned from her post the day before. Ron Herrera has also stepped aside as top labor leader. The four were caught making disparaging and racist remarks while discussing redistricting in a 2021 recorded conversation recently leaked.
You supported him from the...
Don't worry, I got you.
So
you'll start seeing them line up.
They have since apologized, but the backlash has not subsided. Protests have erupted outside City Hall as well as inside council chambers, disrupting business.
On the darkest day this week, when it felt like the city was ripped apart and our hearts were broken.
Mayor Eric Garcetti publicly addressed the scandal at an event today, calling it a defining moment.
I think there's only one way forward. It may feel painful for those involved, but the pain of the city can only be healed when all three of these individuals step aside from their positions.
O'Farrell says the city...
I would like to say that mayor should be slapped in the motherfucking face. I would like to say that mayor should be slapped in the motherfucking face. I would like to say, and I know that I probably shouldn't be cursing because it takes away from the elegance of what I'm speaking on. I would like to say that the mayor should be slapped in the motherfucking face. The only way we can get by or we can continue to move forward is if they resign. No, you need to address all and if any policies that they didn't freaking put on the books. You need to relook at them, reevaluate them, and figure out whether those things, which most likely they are affecting the growth of black communities. Oh, no, but that's not what he said, though. No. What he said was what? If all of them resign, then we can move forward. No. Who the hell gives this man, this white man, nonetheless, the right to tell us in the black community what we need in order to move forward? I just want to know what gives them the right. Let's finish.
Charter allows council the power to strip Cedillo and De Leon of their official duties and committee assignments, but only a recall can force them out of office if they don't leave willingly.
So, just in case y'all didn't know what that meant was, literally, they can be voted out of their duties. They can be voted out of their assignments by the rest of the council members. But no one can force them to resign. Did you get that? No one can force them to resign.
They don't leave willingly, can force them out of office if they don't leave. Says the city charter allows council the power to strip Cedillo and De Leon of their official duties and committee assignments, but only a recall can force them out of office if they don't leave willingly.
So, Carlos, does this mean all city council meetings are canceled indefinitely until these two men resign?
Well, O'Farrell is taking things day by day, calling this a moment-by-moment crisis. And as for now, council meetings are set to resume next week, but they are prepared to strip both men of their committee assignments and duties if they do not step down. We're live outside City Hall. Carlos Salcedo, KTLA 5 News.
Do you see the problem? Oh, yeah, they can definitely strip them of their duties. They can definitely strip them of the power to, put their input in. But they still got to pay them with taxpayer money if they refuse to resign. They're still going to be a part of the council if they refuse to resign. You see the problem? Do you see the rigmarole? The rigmarole? Because that's what this is. This is a rigmarole. It is definitely a rigmarole. Now, I wanted to speak about the other person that I saw who spoke up on this situation, and it was on TikTok nonetheless. And so I want to...
Let me start off by saying that I agree 100% with what this commenter is saying.
I want to make sure people understand.
Let me start off by saying that I...
And hear and see what's going on. Let's pop it.
Let me start off by saying that I agree 100% with what this commenter is saying. It is because of the tireless efforts, the blood, sweat, and tears of the African American community, the black community of this country, that other minorities like Latinos, like Asians, like Jewish people, like women, etc., have been able to enjoy certain rights and certain freedoms. It is because of the tireless efforts of black leaders and black organizations like MLK, like Malcolm X, like the Black Panther Party, like the NAACP, and so many more, that we as Latinos, as a minority, at least in the scope of this conversation, are able to enjoy so many freedoms. The freedom to not be discriminated against for being Latino in our employment, in buying a house, in starting a business, in voting, and so many more things, guys. Segregation was ended by the efforts of black people. Education, things like affirmative action, that is all due to the efforts of black people, guys. And yet, in the comments of this original video, I'm seeing so many Hispanics being like, oh, what she said wasn't racist, or that, oh, yeah, they were just having casual conversation. All of my Hispanic parents talk like that. My family, come on, that's like normal. It's not like that. No, we need to erase that way of thinking. That just because the elders in our family, los viejos, mi mami, tu papi, tu abuela, tu abuelo, tío, tía, no. We need to get that chip of racism and colonization out of our heads. And I'm not afraid to say it, and I don't care about anybody's opinion. This is an objective fact. A lot of Latinos are racist towards black people and other races, but in particular are anti-black. It's
Did you hear that?
Literally racist towards black.
Did you catch that? Did you catch that? There is a lot that I can say, and I can be called everything under the sun. But when you say it yourself, when they say it to themselves, can't nobody, even people in our own community, turn around and tell us that we're wrong. Because guess what? They're saying it to themselves. And I'm going to show you several more instances, not just this one. But we're going to finish this one because it's important for this man to finish what he's saying.
Come on, that's like normal. It's not like that. No, we need to erase that way of thinking. That just because the elders in our family, los viejos, mi mami, tu papi, tu abuela, tu abuelo, tío, tía, no. We need to get that chip of racism and colonization out of our heads. And I'm not afraid to say it, and I don't care about anybody's opinion. This is an objective fact. A lot of Latinos are racist towards black people and other races, but in particular are anti-black. It's literally ingrained in our culture, in the phrases that a lot of Hispanic people use. I'm not going to say them because they're very offensive, but obviously my fellow Latinos saben muy bien de lo que yo estoy hablando. So no, what Martinez said is not okay. It is racist and disgusting. A lot of the Latinos in my comments wouldn't be saying that this was okay if the shoe were on the other foot and they were being discriminated against. And Latinos were being talked about. Mexicans, Central Americans, South Americans, Caribbean Latinos, blah, blah, all that. It would be a different story. Y'all would not have this energy. If you're a first-gen Latino like me, and you hear your fellow Latinos, either your friends or your family members, relatives, whatever, say racist, homophobic, misogynistic things, check them. Don't allow for them to continue with that mentality and think it's okay to be like, oh yeah, in a joking manner, because it's not, guys. It's really not. If Latinos are ever to progress as a people, we need to remove the chip of colonization and of self-hatred for indigenous people and black people out of our heads, installed into our heads by the Spaniards, by the Portuguese, and by the French. And finally, just respect black people, y'all. Respect them, because the contributions that they've made to our rights We enjoy more so than them. Latinos and other minority groups are more privileged than black people, despite them fighting for these rights in the first place.
And there you have it. And if you think that this is an isolated issue, it really is not. This is not just one person in the Latino community coming out and speaking about it. Apparently, a lot of people within the Latino community that are millennials have been speaking about this for some years now. Have been calling out this very issue for some years now. The anti-black racism within the Latino and Spaniard community. Within the Mexican community. So let's go on and take a look at that. We're going to get a few more in here and then we're going to get up out of here. LA Latinos grapple with familiar colorism against black and indigenous people in the racist tape. See, this is the problem that they do too. I hate when they do that because it could be all about black folk and they're going to throw in somebody else. Ain't nobody said nothing about indigenous people on that tape. Ain't nobody said nothing about indigenous people on that tape. All they were talking about was black folk. They were talking about black folk. And how to steal the district from black folk. How to gerrymander our economic situation from black folk. I didn't hear anything about indigenous peoples. Not at all. Latinos must confront ingrained anti-black racism amid George Floyd protest, some urge. We're going to go down here. Jasmine Haywood, an Afro-Latina who has researched anti-black Latino racism, told NBC News that millennial Latinos like Sans are looking to break cycles of internalized racism and the ways Latinos perpetuate and uphold white supremacy. Let me say that again. Miss Haywood, who has researched anti-black Latino racism, told NBC News that millennial Latinos like Sans are looking to break cycles of internalized racism and the ways Latinos perpetuate and uphold white supremacy. What Latinos need to realize is that our oppression is bound up and intertwined with the oppression of the black community, Haywood said. Until they are liberated, until they are free from injustice and oppression, we will never be liberated, end quote. Haywood said anti-black sentiments are ingrained in our culture. Ingrained in our culture. In part because generations of Latinos were taught to seek partners that have a certain European or white phenotype or lighter skin to lighten their family tree. Yeah. While they're running around here talking about all this BS, we're in this together and all this other stuff, they're teaching their children to go and lighten up themselves, to kill off the melanin in their skin. They're teaching their children this. This is what they're teaching their children. George Zimmerman, the son of an Afro-Peruvian mother and a white father, shot and killed Trayvon Martin, an unarmed black teenager. Geronimo, I might not have said that, Geronimo Yanez, hopefully I got that one right, Geronimo Yanez, a Latino police officer, fatally shot Fidel Castillo, 32, during a traffic stop. In a research paper she co-authored, Haywood described these instances as violent white supremacy being deployed through white passing U.S. Latino bodies. Latinx bodies, excuse me. In her research paper, she co-authored, Haywood described these instances as violent white supremacy being deployed through white passing U.S. Latinx bodies. Do you guys remember when those officers was caught on Facebook in a white supremacist group posting pictures and talking all this stuff about black people, and they found that there were several Latino officers that was taking part in those same discussions, who were a part of those same white supremacist groups? Do you guys remember that? Nearly 60 million Latinos live in the United States, most of whom can trace back their heritage to Latin America and the Caribbean. A 2016 Pew Research Center survey reported that a quarter of all U.S. Latinos identify as Afro-Latino or Afro-Caribbean or African descent with roots in Latin America. How the hell is that? How in the hell is that? Because you got a lot of people. Never mind. All right. Let's go on to the next one here. Confronting Latino anti-black bias. Go on to another one. This one is actually a thesis written by Julio Gonzalez. Understanding anti-blackness in Mexican American communities in Texas. So when all these people come to us talking about black-brown coalitions and all this other stuff, we got to stick together. We've been standing side by side and all this other shit. That's just a bunch of farce. Being a bunch of farce, going to continue to be a bunch of farce, because there's been documented records, there's been documented evidence, and I ain't even go back into history to pull out all the anti-black racism that they partake in Central America or in South America. I ain't even got that part. I could just pull up articles from right here and let these people that's here tell you about their own families. I ain't even got to speculate. These are personal experiences. These are first-hand accounts. So we ain't even got to speculate. We know what's going on in that community, especially when it comes to political circles in that community. The first group of people that they look to take out is the black community. And that goes for every community that comes to this dang country. Asians, Indians, Hispanics, natives, or so-called natives, all of them. And you can't tell me not one thing different. Just name one group that ain't threw black people under the bus. You can't do it. You just can't do it. If y'all have time, y'all go read this here. This thesis is incredibly detailed. It's incredibly thoughtful, excuse me. Just want you guys to know this. So the question is, will LA City Council fiasco lead to redistricting reform? It needs to. It needs to. When you got people such as these people, Martinez and so forth and so forth, when you got these people writing the dang maps, how in the hell do you, how can you say that black people get a fair shake? And these are the people that Biden said that we're going to have to learn to work with. He told our leaders, the civil rights leaders and all this other stuff, not my leader, but the civil rights leaders in the black communities, that y'all just going to have to learn how to work with the Latinos. All while the Latinos is doing this. Now, while we're speaking on Biden, we're going to jump into the situation with Biden. Because on one hand, Biden calls for the LA City Council members to resign over their leaked remarks. And then on another hand, he turns around and announces pardons for thousands of convictions under federal marijuana possession. Simple federal marijuana possession. Well, what does one have to do with the other? What does one have to do with the other? Oh, a lot. Oh, a lot. It has everything to do with one side and not our side. But let's get into it. Because the funny thing is, a lot of people are going to run around. A lot of people are going to run around trying to say how this is good for the black community. A lot of people are going to run around and say how this is good for the black community. So, let's get into it. And let's see who this really helps out. Let's see who this really is geared toward. Introduction. The simple possession of illegal drugs is a criminal offense under federal law and in many state jurisdictions. The offense occurs when someone has on his or her person or available for his or her person's use, a small amount of an illegal substance for the purpose of consuming it, but without the intent to sell or give it to anyone else. Simple drug possession is a misdemeanor under federal law, which provides that an offender may be sentenced to a term of imprisonment of not more than 1 year, fined a minimum of $1,000, or both. Did you get that? A simple drug possession, okay, is a misdemeanor under federal law, which provides that an offender may be arrested and imprisoned for a year or charged with $1,000 fine, and or both. Okay? However, if an offender is convicted of a simple possession after a prior drug-related offense has become final, the offender can be charged with the felony simple possession offense, meaning I get pulled over, okay? I get found with 2 kilos of cocaine, okay? That's a felony drug charge, okay? If I'm transporting it from state to state, if I'm trafficking that felony drug charge and I get caught with that, and then they search my persons and they find me with about a quarter of weed, quarter of marijuana, of that gas. And they determine, oh, it's not packaged for sale. It's not packaged to be given to someone else or to be sold to someone else. This must be for his persons. That's simple drug possession. That's the misdemeanor. However, what they can do, if they find me without the cocaine, that's simple drug possession. But they find me with the drug possession, with the cocaine, and find me with the marijuana. Now the marijuana goes from being a misdemeanor to a felony because it was found not just on my person's simply on its own, but it was also found with 2 kilos of cocaine. Okay? Now, the White House has admitted there are very little people who's in federal jail due to simple possession. Look it up yourself. The White House has stated that there are very little people in jail due to simple possession. So let's see. Simple marijuana possession, to be more specific. Federal simple possession offenders. So who's offending? The federal simple possession offenders analyzed in the report were those offenders sentenced between fiscal year 2008 and 2013 with a primary offense type of simple possession and or offenders for whom the most serious guidelines applied in the offense was USSG 2D 2.1 simple possession. The methodology identified 2,319 offenders in the fiscal year of 2013 to satisfy the commission's statutory search obligation. A wide variety of information on offenders and offense characteristics. Pay attention to this part. I meant to highlight this red because it's actually a part that really pissed me off. The methodology identified 2,319 offenders in the fiscal year 2013 to satisfy the commission's statutory research obligation. A wide variety of information on offenders and offense characteristics is routinely coded in every case. Excuse me. Let me take a drink real quick. Thank you. For this analysis, the routinely collected data was augmented through a further review of these 2,319 cases, collecting more detailed information relating to the events surrounding the offense that is not readily available in the commissioner's office database. So, and it's going to tell you in the next paragraph basically what it was saying. But basically what we're being told is that in some areas they have more data than others. Between fiscal year 2008 and 2013, the number of federal drug trafficking offenders declined 7.7% from 24,080 in 2008 to 22,215 in 2013. In contrast, the number of federal simple possession offenders increased substantially over the same time period. In the fiscal year of 2008, there were 467 federal simple possession offenders. However, by fiscal year 2013, that number increased 396.6% to 2,319 federal simple possession offenders. This analysis will look more closely at the offenders, including an examination of the location where the offenders were apprehended and how the offenders came to the attention of the law enforcement. So this is the locations of offenders. So this is where it gets juicy. This is where it gets good too. Because now we get to kind of see, who are these offenders? Who are these offenders? Well, let's look at this. We're going to read this here, but if we look at this table right here, we're going to look at the hype. This is from the FY 2018, the fiscal year 2018. East Virginia, Wyoming, Western Texas, Western Connecticut, Western Kentucky, Utah, New Jersey, Middle Georgia, Arizona, Southern Georgia, Western Oklahoma. Okay, now by the 213s, I don't know why I said 213s, but by the 213s, the districts that skyrocketed, Arizona, 1,880,000 offenders. Western Texas, 107 offenders. East Virginia, still low, but 34. Utah, 19. Southern California, 15. Eastern North Carolina, 11. New Jersey, 11. Wyoming, 11. South Dakota, 9. Middle Georgia, 7. So the highly concentrated area where we have these offenders and these offenses taking place is in the District of Arizona and in the District of Western Texas by far. In the fiscal year of 2013, 40 districts reported at least one offender who was convicted of simple possession of marijuana. The vast majority of the marijuana simple possession offenders were sentenced to a single district, the District of Arizona. Of the 2,169 offenders, 86.7% were sentenced in the District of Arizona. Okay, Arizona. So who are the people in Arizona that's being caught up in this stuff? Following Arizona, the district with the greatest number is Western District of Texas with 107 offenders, 4.9 of the total. Followed by Eastern District of Virginia, 34, and we just went through all that, so we're going to skip down to the next paragraph. In contrast, in the fiscal year of 2008, no single district dominated the simple possession caseload. In 2008, the Eastern District of Virginia reportedly was with the most marijuana simple possession offenders. So, what happened from 2008 to 2013? Didn't Obama become a president in 2008? Okay, let me not go there real quick. Let's just go to my next point. Just trying, I was just trying to put two and two together. It's okay. A document. Okay, this is where they were apprehended. So if we look at the chart, the first in the top number one place, 91.5%. 91.5% where they were apprehended, U.S./Mexico border. 91.5% 1,967 offenders. Let me roll that back. 1,967 offenders. In the number 2 place is military bases. National parks is the 3rd. Non-federal land is the 4th. But the number 3, the 3 top places, not number 3, the 3 places is the U.S.-Mexico border, the military bases, national parks. So, who are these people that's being apprehended? A document review of the marijuana simple possession offenders with the significant information to determine the circumstances of their offense indicates that most were arrested at or near the U.S.-Mexican border. Of the 2,149 marijuana simple possession offenders, the vast majority, 91.5% were arrested near the border. The second most frequent location of arrest was at the military bases, 3.6%. 3.6%. National parks accounted for 2.8%. Offenders whose offense occurred at or near the U.S. border were fundamentally different from their non-border counterparts in offender and offenses characteristics as well as sentencing outcomes. What does that mean? The people that got caught by the border that was trafficking got little slaps on the wrist. But the people that got caught away from the border was not so lucky. To illustrate this, for the remainder of this analysis, offenders are assigned to one of 2 categories based on their arrest occurred. Based on the arrest that occurred. Offenders who were arrested near the U.S. border are assigned to the border category, while all others are assigned to non-border categories. Now, I think this is okay. Yep, got 2 more segments here, and we're going to be done here. Offender characteristics. Offender characteristics, and we're going to get to that chart in a second, but let's get to this characteristics here of these offenders. There were clear differences between border and non-border offenders with respect to the gender and citizenship. Nearly all border offenders were male, 91.4%, while non-border offenders have a much greater proportion of females. Non-borders, 22.9% female. Oh, excuse me. Yep, female. Female border, yeah. 8.6%. Okay. So at the border is 8.6% females caught committed these offenses, and away from the border, there's 22.9%, which makes a lot of sense, especially when it comes to the military, these national parks, especially people in the military smoking weed. They go through a lot, but anyway, moving forward. A subtle difference was seen in the citizenship status of the border and non-border offenders. Among border offenders, 94.3% are non-U.S. citizens. Oh, there we go. What it do? Who it help? Me, not you. Not me either. Them motherfuckers. Them motherfuckers. I'm going to read that again. Among border offenders, 94.3% 83% are not U.S. citizens. This sharply contrasts with non-border offenders, 83.5% of whom are U.S. citizens. Non-border offenders were slightly older than border offenders at the time of sentencing. The average age of non-border offenders at sentencing was 32 years old, compared to 28 years old for border offenders. Do you see what's going on here? But here's the rigmarole in this study too. They tried to say, unfortunately, it is impossible to examine the racial ethnic makeup of the border offenders because this information was missing for all but 11 of the 1967 border offenders. Really? That's interesting. We know that those border offenders were non-citizens, and it's on the U.S.-Mexico border, so, logic would kind of get you to lean towards those offenders are Mexican. They're illegals. Or Latino, Latinx, whatever. They're in those groups. Yeah. Data for non-border offenders were more complete. Go figure. Permitting a race and ethnicity analysis. Among non-border offenders, almost half are white. So we know that the majority of border offenders are non-citizens, and all of them are a part of the Hispanic Latino community. This is what we know. So if we take away the non-citizens, almost 50% of those offenders are white. Almost 50% of those offenders are white. And the other large amount are all non-citizens. So I think we just got to the gist of who's this really supposed to help. I think we just got to the gist of who's this really supposed to help, because first you're going to be helping all these illegals. Then you're going to be helping white people. And then bada bing, bada boom, black people are last on the list once again. And we only do take up, 25.4%. Do you see the problem? There's only 182 non-border offenses. 50% of them are white. 10% of them are Hispanic. So this bill helps more illegals, white people, Hispanics goes in with those illegals, than black people. And this is what Biden wants you to get excited about. This is what Killer Mike is getting all hyped up about. Give them access? You talking about the 1967 illegals, or are you talking about the 50% of the 182 non-border offenders, which are all white? Are you talking about that 10.5% that are Hispanic? Because you can't just be talking about the black. Because this ain't for black people. Even though it's being shot to us as if it's like the mother of all holy grails. But this is what it is. This is what they're running around here trying to get you guys to be excited about. This is what they want everyone to get excited about. Right here. You see it right here on this chart. Border offenders, non-border offenders. And I'm just so sick and tired, and I wanted to do this today. I wanted to put all this together because I'm sick and tired of people downplaying us, trying to lie to our face, then try to steal a narrative and change it. And then, and on that end, I'm talking about AOC and people like her. And I'm also tired of people like Biden trying to slide in some slick shit saying it's for black people and it ain't got nothing to do with us. Same thing with freaking the bill that he's supposed to have been signing, or he just signed to forgive $10,000 to $20,000 in student loan debt. None of that shit's for black folk. Because what happens is when you get these people that's able to pay off their debt, getting those same type of loans, forgiveness, that's money that they're giving over to their children. That's money that they're passing along. More money kept in their pockets that they could build a business with. And what about the people that didn't go to school? So some people go to school, but the people who didn't go to school, they got to pay for the people that went to school. That's coming out of all of our taxes, ain't it? Do you see? We need to stand on our ground, stand on our square, and make sure ain't nobody trying to findle their way in, finagle their way in, or tap dance their way in by any means. Our agenda is reparations into black policy. Black economics is not a joke. But everywhere you look, you see these people trying to take away your ability to be economically included into a country that our ancestors built. I appreciate you guys. If you haven't, hit subscribe, like, share. We're working on a few different platforms so that YouTube won't be the end all be all. We got Patreon popping right now. We haven't started populating it yet, but we will next couple of days. We're working on a Roxfin account. So we're going to be bringing you a lot more content. A lot more content. And I would love it if you use all this content against these people that try to come to you with that bullshit. And I know some people say, oh, cursing is so unelegant. You shouldn't have to curse. So sometimes you just want to put emphasis on shit. Fuck that. That's right. I'm real with this. We ain't playing around because my passion is unmatched when it comes to this. I don't give a dang about people's feelings when it comes to this. We ain't got time to wait, and we ain't got time to be looking for people to feel good about what we're trying to get done. The Church of B1. The Church of Black Power. The doors of the church are now closed.